morning. Welcome to the Morning DNA. It is for October 6th,
Can you believe it?
2020 on a Tuesday. I'm Aaron Dicer, the man of a single black shirt. She is Danae Says, the Danae Hughes, the woman of a million distractions.
I love it. I love it.
It's a nice shout out to your Twitter handle, at least. And we're
And
going to
my
find out what this
Instagram.
morning is made of.
Yeah.
So, yeah. This is only the second Tuesday we've ever done a show on.
Whoa.
Tuesdays are least like
are least
someday
likely to
day.
go live.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we did just go live yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I woke up this morning and my husband was able to take Iris to where she is going today.
Oh,
and
nice.
I was like, okay, are we doing the show? Because I kind of want to shower. So I was like, challenged myself to get fully ready and do a show. And I did it.
Yay!
I am adulting.
Well done. Well
Thank you.
done.
Thank you.
Adulting
Oh my gosh.
is
So
fun.
I sat down to kind of get prepped to do the show or whatever. And I like to look at like what the national day of is just for fun,
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
I was looking at it and it's National Noodle Day today.
Oh, noodles.
Yeah, which I love noodles. I like all kinds of noodles. But recently I have discovered a restaurant here in Springfield, Missouri called Quirk. And they have like these ramen bowls.
Ooh.
Oh, and the broth
nice.
is so good. And so then I'm like, oh yeah. So I went noodle, ramen, broth. Ooh, I want to learn how to make broth. So then I went on this bunny trail and I started looking up ramen broth recipes. And then I was bopping around to the music and I'm like,
Mhm.
holy crap. And I jumped back over and I had 17 seconds until the show started. Like, wait a second. Oh crap. I almost didn't show up to the show.
Honestly, what's new, Danae? I mean, there's always something in your brain that's begging for your attention. It just
I
happened to be
guess.
noodles today.
Oh my gosh. Noodles are incredible. One of the
Mhm.
first, do you know like can you think of like an incredible noodle that you've had? Or are you just like noodles are noodles?
No. There is a restaurant in Michigan, in Frankenmuth, Michigan, called Zender's. Zehd.
Wow.
No, Zehnnders, I believe.
Okay.
Zender's. And they give a birthday meal for free. So you go in there, you get a birthday meal kind of thing. And for any time in the month that you're born, well, my wife and I are born in the same month. So we would always make the trip and just get a free meal for both of us and just go on our merry way. Well, it's a home style meal type thing with like chicken and mashed potatoes and corn.
Is it too early for me to be hungry already? That
No,
sounds so
it's
good.
never too early to be hungry. And the most amazing buttered noodles I have ever had. And there's something about them. There's like a breading that they kind of sprinkle over the top that's amazing. The whatever butter they use is just, it's really, man, and they're just these thick noodle. Oh, it's just so good. So yes is the answer to your question. I have a noodle that I have loved.
I remember like noodles were noodles. It was just like spaghetti, basic stuff, lasagna, sure. But the first noodle that was like mind-blowing noodle was at an Italian restaurant. And it was this guy who was from Italy who lived locally. And he has this restaurant named Gelati's.
Gelati's.
And Mr. Gelati, Nicola Gelati. And anyway, he was this very boisterous guy. And the place that I worked had their Christmas dinner at that restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never been there before. Someone said, you've got to have like the gelati pasta. So I did. And it was like these thick noodles that he had folded in cheese, like some kind of a cheese as well. Oh my gosh.
Nice.
Thick and like, yeah, had some substance to it.
Very nice.
Someone's
I love
gone
it.
to Zender's?
Oh, yeah. It's the absolute best, according to Kenan. You can buy their noodles down in the store. Frankenmuth is a really neat little town. It's very specifically tried to maintain like an old Dutch feel to it. So like the buildings
like
can
that.
only be one story. They have to have certain like roofing to look like old Dutch roofing. Like even like the Walmart in town has like Dutch roofing kind of thing. So yeah.
I'm Dutch. I'm German, Dutch, Scottish, something else.
You know what we should do?
My mom is in the chat. She'll tell me.
We should do a morning DNA test where we each send off to like one of those places, and then we share each week. We share like a finding from our DNA kind of
I
thing.
am super okay with that.
And then be
Can
like,
we make it like a stretch goal though? Volk says, "What's better, lo mein noodles or hibachi noodles?" Oh no!
Aren't hibachi noodles lo mein? I think lo mein, it just means they're soft.
See, I don't know.
I think lo mein just means
I was gonna have to go
noodles.
look at it. Now hibachi, is that like Who Hot? Is that a hibachi?
Like
where there's kind of like on the grill and they kind of like
hibachi grill. Yeah.
Whatever those noodles are, I do love them. So if they're the same,
and like the places you go to here in town, like where they cook in front of you, those are all hibachi places. And my favorite noodles in town are a hibachi place. So yeah.
I'm also Welsh and English, says my mother.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be fun because what if I'm not?
What
if there's like a secret in there?
You are not.
That's actually something that happened to my husband. My husband's family, someone in his family, I think his cousin, took a DNA test, and they're trying to figure out if it's accurate, because if the DNA test is accurate, they have to do like confirmations from other testing sites, because sometimes they like identify things differently. Like they'll have different titles for different regions and stuff like this. So, but they thought that they had a specific heritage. They might not. Could be a scandal. Don't know. Stay tuned.
Chris says, this from a person living in the Netherlands. Buildings with only one floor are incredibly rare. We do have some sweet roofs, though. I think the idea was to keep it from...
You're in the Netherlands? That's fun.
To keep it from like, building up and looking more, I don't know. It's to keep it quaint. It's to keep it quaint, I think, is the idea. That is where my wife and I went after we got married. The day we got married, we went there for a horse carriage ride.
To the Netherlands?
Yes, to the Netherlands.
Wait,
yesterday.
What?
Yep,
you were
we
like
hopped
kids.
on a plane.
How did you do that?
Flew to the Netherlands.
Took a ride. Came back home. No big deal.
To Frankenmuth.
Gotcha.
We went to Frankenmuth after our wedding and took a horse carriage ride there in town. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Scott. Nakados.
That's the kind of place I'm talking about. We prefer, what's the one on South Campbell? We prefer, why can't I remember? We go there every Christmas.
Fiji?
Fuji's. Yes, we prefer Fuji's. The noodles at Fuji's are my favorite noodles in town. So, yeah.
Man, oodles of noodles. Mariella says DNA test can open up a can of worms.
Mm-hmm.
Kenan says, Mongolian barbecue, guys. I'm intermittent fasting now, and this is not helping. Sorry. Good news is I have a leftover emoji pizza waiting for me. Okay, well, maybe we should move on.
Maybe we
shouldn't talk about noodles, but it is National Noodle Day. So for those of us who can't afford to go out or can't go out, or we don't have a really fancy restaurant, grab that old ramen packet from your pantry and just make your own noodles today.
Kenan corrects me. Frankenmuth is a German-style town, not Dutch. I think he's right, actually. I think it's based on like a German town, not a Dutch town. My apologies.
That's okay. I'm German too, so it's fine.
It's fine.
My heritage covers your mistake somehow. I don't know.
It all works out just fine. You ready to shoot a dough?
Let's do it.
All right. We're going to do the DNA and you. We'll have a topic from Danae, the D, me, the A, and you. And if you have a question for us, or a topic that you want us to discuss, it can be anything. All you got to do is put it in the chat wherever you are, whether you're YouTube, Twitch, Twitter/Periscope, or the other social network that shall not be named. You can leave a comment with the letter U at the beginning so we can seek it out at the end at any point in time, and we will get back to those. But we kick it off with Danae. What's your topic for today?
So my question/topic is, when do you say hello to a new neighbor? Or is this just not something that we do anymore? So I'm from the Midwest, obviously, and we have more of that general, like, having conversations with random strangers is not an issue most of the time. Like if you strike up conversation with someone.
You're speaking in like non-global pandemic times. Yeah.
Yes.
Just kind of general. Yes.
2020 aside.
in the before times.
In the before times. And so in general, there's just been this, like when you move into a new neighborhood, it's not uncommon to have someone come over and say hello to you and welcome you to a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Well, now we've been living in this house since April, so not very long. I think we're like 6 months this month. And we just had new neighbors move across the street. We had new neighbors move 4 houses down. So we're having this like new neighbor surge in this neighborhood. And I'm not sure if we've been here for a little minute, but do we go say hello and say, hey, we're your new, but they're like directly across the street. So we're going to see these people a lot. In fact, this morning I woke up and I opened up the window and I see these 2 children just racing around in my driveway. And I'm like, okay. And then they go back over to the new neighbor's house. And I'm like, oh, wow, we have a very active, they're going to be over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
at what point should I, how do I, my husband's idea is to go over, introduce himself, and then tell them all about the neighborhood we just moved into.
As the expert who's been here for, I'm going to say months, we want you to know about everything that's going on here.
I know. That's exactly, I'm like, babe, maybe we're not the right ones to do that.
That reminds me of my children when an older brother would be like, let me tell you how the world works. And it's like, you're a year older than them. Like,
I've been here for so long.
That's right.
Compared to you.
Let me educate you, okay? This is what happens.
No, I think maybe part of him could have been, I think he was serious. He was like working it out. He hadn't thought it through.
Yeah.
So I don't want to tease him too hard here.
Oh, tease as much as you want.
But my favorite part was he's like, I've got to go tell him to get ready for Halloween. And I'm like, babe, first of all, we've never been in this house during a Halloween. Second, it's a pandemic right now. We don't even know what Halloween's going to be like for the city. Yeah. Like, are you really the spokesperson for the neighborhood?
Right.
You don't even know if what we've been told is accurate.
People could be trolling you. You could be the only house with Halloween decorations because people wanted to troll you. You have no idea.
We did get doorbell dinged. We're being trolled.
I love some of these comments. Can we go through some of them?
Yeah.
Dumb as an Ox says, I waited 32 years before I spoke to my next door neighbor. I regretted it within 6 months. That plays into what is generally my perspective, which is it's just not the world we live in anymore. And it's just, and I'm great with that. I have my friends. I've said before, I don't need more. I'm good. If it happens naturally, that's fine. But
do you have to become friends with your neighbors, or is introducing yourself then the open door to friendship?
I think introducing yourself is like, hey, we want to be involved in your life. And that's just not true on my part. Now, it is, for my wife probably, and for many others, like that sense of local community is valuable to them. And honestly, I do think our culture has lost something with the loss of that. I'm not saying there's not some benefits to having local community and the idea of going next door and borrowing a cup of flour, or, knowing that something's going on next door and they need somebody to watch the kids real quick. And can you come over? And, like, that stuff's kind of cool. Like, it takes a village. Like, I get that, but it's just not the world we live in right now. And
and maybe it's also based on neighborhood as well.
Yeah.
Like our neighborhood appears to be one of those, we all keep an eye on each other stuff neighborhood. Like all the streets face each other in this interesting triangular shape. So we're all looking in and towards this center kind of open area where the kids can play. So it is like a different, unique thing too.
Yeah, you're in a different situation. Yeah.
Yeah. So mine is maybe different, but.
And then the neighbors every 4 years put up political signs and you're like, oh, you're the neighbor I'm not supposed to hang out with. Oh, you're the neighbor.
Hey, Aaron, skip.
No, I know. I'm kidding. But you've done that. No matter what you feel about the politics, you've looked at neighbor signs and gone, oh, okay, I get where you come from now. Let's see. Azalea says, I said hello to my new neighbors by entering the wrong apartment and barging into their kitchen.
No!
Well done, Zalius. Well done.
Oh my gosh. So in apartments, usually like the kitchen's pretty close to the door. So I can see how you could get like in the building, in the room, and then into that location before realizing that something is up.
Mm-hmm.
But oh my gosh, that's terrifying.
Elizabeth says,
Whoa,
I
that's
think
a story.
yeah, it is. I think when you see them outside, that is when you say hello. I think that's correct.
Yeah, I think you're right.
A little bit of the,
Yeah.
hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Hey.
And then maybe if there's a conversation that starts up on a regular basis.
You run away. No, is that not?
You do.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
So because we have this sort of hub in our neighborhood, there are several children that are, I think, Iris's age, but there's one girl in particular that we've seen multiple times with her mom or her dad who looks like a little twin to Iris. Same height, same hair color, and I'm like, oh, they appear to be similar in age. Yesterday, she's in the living room, and our windows are open, and our living room faces, this hub neighborhood thing. And I hear her going, "Hey, little girl! Hey, little girl! Hey, girl! Little girl over here!" And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's at the window screaming across the street, and the family had stopped, and they're like looking around. So then I guess that's when you go to introduce yourself, like, hey,
there you go.
Sorry about that. My kid's excited to see your kid. Like,
kids can be a real factor, though. If you've got kids that are around the same age, that play well together, like, you're gonna,
we kept them across the street from each other because I also want to honor social distance. I don't know how they feel about social distance.
Sure.
And so Iris is yelling to her across the street because we go out and we're like, on opposite sidewalks. And I'm like, hi, I'm Danae. And Mama's like, hi, I'm so-and-so. And my daughter's 3. My daughter's also 3. So now we have this moment, and you're right. Outside is kind of that safe place for it to happen. Kenan says, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
We say hello or wave whenever we're outside. Could be just the small town vibe. Usually not a large discussion unless you're my father-in-law. Then if you're breathing, you're fair game for a 15-minute discussion. That's my mother. My mom is that person. She just jumps in. She's sharing stories. She's sharing life. There's like this whole thing. That's what I was raised around. I kind of thought that was normal. And it kind of is a little bit for, I don't know. It just feels like it's okay.
Nick says, I'm terrible at making friends. I'm really nice, I swear, just shy. So introducing myself to strangers just because we live near doesn't sound fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're all different. And I'm with you, Nick. That is more along the lines of me. Although I wouldn't say I'm terrible at making friends. In honesty, I'm probably too good at making friends. And then there's like, then I have extra friends and I have to follow up. And it's just
yeah.
like,
The
I
maintenance.
don't want that. Like, I don't.
My God. Aaron.
Yeah.
You need a spreadsheet.
Yes.
Like their name and then like the last date of contact. Mm-hmm. And then if so many years have passed, you should say hi again.
Yeah. Look, I put a lot of effort in trying to make sure I'm staying connected to my wife and children and immediate family. Like that is what I've got energy for. So adding people is a bit difficult sometimes.
I want to read so many of these because they're so great.
Go for it. Pick one.
But I do want to tell a quick story, you guys.
Okay.
Just to your point that sometimes you do have to find the balance. So I lived in this house for several years, and I was, again, raised by a very chatty mother who, I didn't understand certain cues. I'm not blaming my mother for not understanding cues. I'm saying that it started from her. She's here in the chat. Yes, that's me. Okay, it's her fault. She's super admitting it. I'm just kidding, Mom. Anyway, I had this particular neighbor, and I could see him a little bit from my porch, but we'd start talking. And so I'd walk over to the fence and like kind of pop up on the fence a little bit so that I could make eye contact. So then I would say hi every time I saw him, thinking that I was supposed to.
Yeah.
And then within like 6 months, a fence goes up. They had added like a lattice work kind of like wall to cover their porch.
Right.
And I was like, oh, oopsie. I am Danae. And I'm like, just leave us alone.
There's a sign on it that says Danae Guard.
Yeah. I've learned a lot since then. And I've had several different kinds of neighbors. I pretty much we keep to ourselves. And I love in this new house, we have one particular neighbor directly beside us who's been incredible, helped us find our missing dog, has been just so, so kind. And we were having conversations in the backyard across the fence. And they said, like, yeah, even though we can all see each other's backyards, we just pretty much stick to ourselves. And I was like, fabulous.
Yes.
That's the good stuff. Because I
That is the
can,
good
like,
stuff.
I can go out the back porch and I see everybody's yard. So that's a little bit invasive. So, and I learned my lesson. I don't want them to have to build an actual fence to keep me away.
Nick says, I'm awful at small talk. Either be my best friend and get ready to hear about the intricacies of the Star Wars expanded universe, or just say hi and move along.
You
So
need like
true.
a little pin that says, like, I will talk to you about Star. I will relate everything to Star Wars. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Rennie says, when my new neighbors moved in next door last year, they were very friendly, but now since the pandemic, they've backed way off and kept their distance. I'm now wondering if they think I'm about to get COVID or need a new deodorant. Let's see.
Here's one from Jennifer who says, I tried to avoid talking to my neighbor across the way for 2 years, but he wheeled over in his chair the other day and sat in the middle of the street, and amid many other tidbits informed me that he had caught Legionnaire's disease from the air conditioning unit in my house. And she's told me the story before, from the people who lived there before me, before her, before anyone else. Like, he was there. He told me he wasn't able to get help and all this stuff. Basically, he just kind of told her all about it. And she's just like,
You know, there's that thing, right? Because there's a need there. You know, there's obviously a person who needs an outlet, you know, to talk about stuff. And I think I rest in knowing there are people that could fill that role nicely. I am not one of them. I would not do a good job at that role. I could try, but I don't think I'd be the one to be able to do it. So, yeah.
I think ultimately for me, and Aaron, you're like, read some more and kind of grab some more.
Sure.
Maybe you guys do this too. I'm trying to be really strategic. Pandemic has sort of given us this blanket excuse to not say hi to anybody, but it's been kind of awesome in a way because we do live in an active neighborhood, so we're told. But I kind of don't want to create a whole bunch of relationships early on. I want them to develop at like a nice kind of slow pace, because let's say that we live here, I don't know, until retirement. Let's just pretend that's true. And let's pretend that Iris is going to live out all her school age here. That means everybody in this neighborhood who is a long-term person is going to be somebody who sees her grow up, or we hang out with their families or their kids. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be thinking like I got to make a solid relationship right at the very beginning. Like, I just need to kind of let this happen naturally. And even though part of me wants to go deliver cookies to everybody and say, hi, we're the Hughes. We live over in this house, and this is our daughter, and these are our dogs. And if you see the dogs running around, please grab them and bring them home. You know, like, I kind of want to do that. But also, I kind of want to be like, oh, you guys moved in when? Oh, 6 years ago.
Yeah. Brian says, the first conversation I had with my new neighbor was when he was yelling at my teenage son about throwing sticks over the fence into his yard, I'm going to assume. My teenager wouldn't pick up a stick if his life depended on it. 2, it's his tree. And 3, any sticks that fall into my yard go into my fire pit. And 4, is this really how you want our first conversation to go? Fortunately, he's not an outdoor person, and I rarely see him. This brings up a great conversation, and we had one of these at our last house, of the get off my lawn neighbor that does not like your children. And this was our across the way neighbor at our last house, and accused my kids of doing just awful things. And, you know, my kids aren't perfect, but after having conversations with them, I believe them that they didn't do these things. He was talking about throwing rocks at their pets and just, all kinds of stuff. And it's just like,
yikes.
I don't know, like there seems to be something about those kind of neighbors that's very much like, I hate your children. And it's like, okay, I guess we're not friends.
Oh my gosh. And then you're stuck with them. My parents have a nightmare neighbor. They have a really, really deep lot. Mm-hmm. Like it's extensively deep. And so they have essentially on one side, they have one neighbor with the same deep lot. But on the other side, they have 2 technical neighbors, fence neighbors. And the back one is a total weirdo. And I don't say that lightly. He used to intimidate the dogs and get them riled up and then call about them being like bad dogs. Like, he would stand at the fence line and like intimidate them and throw things at them and then yell at them for yelling or barking, that kind of stuff. Or if the dog barked, they'd come out. And one time they got so upset with my parents, they passive aggressively, I'm not joking, they brought out huge speakers into the backyard, aimed them at my parents' house, and played like crazy music until the police showed up.
Wow.
Because they were so aggressive. Like,
Fun times.
Please don't be that neighbor. Number one. And number two, oh my gosh, if you do have a crazy neighbor like that, I am so sorry. You just have to kind of like, you be you and just go about your business because you got to live beside them,
Won't you not be? Please, won't you not be? Please, won't you not be
my neighbor? Well, that was a fun chat. We missed so much fun stuff. I loved this comment from Slab. Ask your doctor if DNA Guard is right for you.
Breezy Lady B, bagpipe music on repeat.
Bagpipe music. I couldn't remember if it was that or polka.
I wanted to bring that up just because I had a neighbor 3 houses down that played the bagpipe and would go out on his back porch and play the bagpipe. And I don't know if it annoyed other people. I kind of loved it.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. I listen, I maybe I'm weird that way, but you play a unique instrument, like literally play it. Like I think that's kind of cool. So it didn't annoy me, but when somebody's blasting bagpipe music at your house through speakers, that's a whole different story.
Like a good neighbor, stay over there.
Nice. All right, let's move on to the A topic for the day.
What you got there, Mr. Dicer?
We're going to play a little bit of Claim Your Quirk. This is something we've done before on the show, and this is an opportunity for you to talk about the one thing that is in your life, or maybe one of things that are in your life that is unique to you. That you feel like, you're the only one or you're in the minority, and we're going to celebrate what makes you unique today. This came up in my brain because, well, first of all, we love doing this. It's one of our favorite things is to...
I don't know if you guys realize we're quirky.
We're very, very quirky. But I just had one of mine come up this morning where I was filling my giant thing of water, which this is my daily water. And usually I drink this plus a little bit, especially if I'm, take a bike ride and sweat a lot. So I'm filling that up this morning, as I do every morning, and I realize I'm using the hot water to fill it up. For whatever reason, my brain was early in the morning. I didn't, set it to cold or, little off cold. I set it to hot. And so it was about halfway, and I was like, oh, if I just set this to cold, that's going to be perfect, because my quirk is I love lukewarm water. Like room temperature water is the best.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're not supposed to laugh at them.
No, you can laugh. As long as after you laugh, you celebrate.
We celebrate your quirk, Aaron.
And I have found throughout my life, drinking a lot of water, that you can drink more water if it's room temperature because there's not a shock to your throat. Like cold water, especially if you put like ice cold water, that's hard to drink a lot of, and people think it's refreshing, but I think it's just because, maybe on a warm day, it feels like you want to be cooler, but honestly, drinking cold water does not cool your body off that much. A breeze will cool your body off more than like drinking something internally. But lukewarm water is just so much more refreshing because you can just gulp it down, and yeah, I love room temperature water. So that is my quirk that I'm claiming today.
So if you guys have something that's popping into your mind, something weird you do that maybe someone's pointed out, be like, that's weird, and it's just like a quirky thing, we're just going to celebrate those. We've already got one that popped up in the chat from Lolly who says she was...
That's good.
Recently informed on Discord, it's not normal to eat Cheetos with chopsticks.
Nice!
Okay, I've never heard of this before.
Cheetos with chopsticks.
Brilliant.
Yes, Lolly.
That is
Claim
brilliant.
your quirk. Claim your quirk.
But there is something about clean hands. We're just assuming every hand is clean, right? There's something about like eating the Cheeto, or like you have to kind of like almost bite off the layer of Cheeto dust off of your finger.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little salty because of your sweat.
Or because there's a lot of salt in the covering. But yes,
right. Or that.
Yeah,
I super missed out on that. But I love the idea of chopsticks. Not everyone knows how to use chopsticks, though.
Yeah. What can I use, like tweezers?
No. Well, I mean, it depends, because tweezers, their opening is so small. And Cheetos, I think, are a little bit larger. You'd have to find something else to...
What about scissors? If I use the right pressure and don't cut through them?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think something other than chopsticks, which I can't do very well.
Only if you video it. I want to see you struggle to Cheeto. I guess you could just
Nice.
use a spoon. Like-
if the chopsticks don't work, I may have to cheat. Oh,
What?
I may have to cheat. Oh,
I thought
Cheeto.
that you
Cheeto.
literally just realized that either something went wrong or I said something. Oh, like
Aaron makes a pun. Take a drink.
Aaron, it's too early for puns, Aaron. Saracdo says room temperature water is actually the healthiest thing for you, from what I've heard or
That's
read.
what I feel. My body responds to it really, really well, and actually getting a lot of love for the room temperature water. Many other people saying that they are RTWs.
A lot of people really supporting your use of the chopsticks. Slab says it's not normal, but it makes too much sense to be wrong. Craig says, Aaron, you'd fit right into the desert. Craig's in Vegas because you don't sweat, so any water is good water.
Oh, I don't sweat because boy, do I sweat. But in Vegas, you don't sweat because it's a dry heat. That is, I know people who don't live in the Southwest kind of laugh at this sometimes, but I have been there when it's 125. I was there on a 125-degree day, and I did not sweat. It is crazy. It doesn't feel like everything people say about a dry heat is true. It's just different. A dry heat is different than a humid heat. It just is.
Here's Kenneth's quirk. I was born in an ambulance. I was a bit premature, 28 weeks, and decided to make my appearance on my parents' last getaway before starting home for the rest of the pregnancy. Hello, everybody. I'm here. My birth certificate is from a country a few hundred miles away from where we lived. That's kind of cool.
That is cool.
Technically born elsewhere.
Tyler's got a quirk to claim. My preferred method of eating pancakes is breaking, dipping, and using my hands. You claim your quirk, Tyler.
Like dipping into the syrup?
Rip them up, dip them into the syrup, and eat them. Kind of like that.
I've been experimenting with my pancake mix lately. This is such exciting conversation.
This is what you tune into the show for.
Okay, so you guys know I kind of love like reality cooking shows. America's Worst Cook, or whatever that one's called, Top Chef. Like I watch a variety, whether there are people who don't know what they're doing or do know what they're doing. It does inform how I feel like I understand how cooking works in general without actually taking a cooking class. You'd think I would, but I don't.
Yeah.
So with pancakes, it's really simple. You've got the powder mix, you've got 1 egg, you've got a tablespoon of oil, and then you've got like 3/4 cup of milk. Let's just say that's the thing. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I want to put applesauce in it. Do I take out some milk? And so I ended up just like putting everything together and then like dumping in a little bit more powder and then just sloshing it all. They didn't come out terrible, but they did fall apart a little bit more than normal.
Yeah,
so I think my mix was a little off.
Yeah.
But
or it could be that you put applesauce in them.
It was yummy.
It could maybe have nothing to do with the mix.
That's my quirk today, Aaron. My quirk is my pancake experimentation.
We celebrate your quirk, Danae.
Thanks,
claim
man.
your quirk. We need the clap emojis between claim your quirk.
Skidova says, my quirk is that in order to really focus, I have to listen to Yanni.
Sorry. Claim your quirk. Claim your quirk, Skidora.
I love that.
Skidorfa.
That's so funny because Skidova adds instantly laser focus. Yanni equals instant laser focus.
That's amazing. Just hanging out, some Yanni goes in the bathroom.
You're walking, along. You're maybe like in the mall and Yanni comes on.
Cindy says, I have to clean my house really good before I go out of town. My other is I can't get into an unmade bed.
Whoa. Man, to have that quirk.
Yeah, right?
Right? Like part of me is jealous and part of me is like, whoa, I can't handle that. But to get it, you don't have to answer this question, but it does make me think about like, to what degree of a made bed? Does it have to have the sheets tucked? Like, does your sheet have to be tucked underneath?
Quarter's got to bounce off of it. If a quarter doesn't bounce off of it, it's not made well enough.
What?
That's what I learned in military movies.
I don't understand. We're just gonna. What is it?
Cleaning quirks are a big one. Renee says, I organize my canned goods by expiration date.
Oh, gosh, that's so smart.
Makes total sense.
That's so freaking smart. I wish I did that.
Yeah. Aaron with some pancake advice. A splash of Sierra Mist in pancake batter makes them fluffier.
Oh, I love that you assume I am so amazing. I have Sierra Mist in my I have cans of what is that stuff that tastes like feet sweat carbonated LaCroix.
LaCroix?
LaCroix. I've got some LaCroix right now. I don't know why I drink this stuff. Every once in a while I'm like, oh, it's good, but I don't have Sierra Mist.
I'm not sure I understand this one, but we celebrate it with you, Craig. NFL jersey colors combination is mine. The reason certain teams wear certain jerseys at certain times, specifically sock colors in color combinations, white over white is my favorite.
Ooh, so like, are you saying you wear that stuff to make like you're matching people that you're watching, or you're like really into that information?
I think he's just saying his quirk is like he really loves different combinations of colors
That's
in
cool.
NFL jerseys. So, yeah.
Wow. If you were going to paint a room, I think we all kind of know what direction you'd go. Like you'd pick a jersey combo.
Here's a good one from Matt. When I put away the clean dishes, I always make sure to put the newly clean bowls, dishes, silverware underneath the existing clean items instead of on top, because I don't want the existing items to feel bad that it wasn't their turn next and suddenly the new guy's cut in line. No soup bowl for you. Matt, you were 2 seconds away from Danae spitting coffee all over her computer. She was on her way. It's my fault, honestly. If I'd have just held back just a couple more seconds, we'd have had a legit spit take. So
just Matt's one of those guys. His humor slays me all the time. Listen, it kind of reminds me of like putting in my husband calls our grocery inventory because of his job. It's kind of like when you put
great.
He calls it all inventory.
Honey,
you got to move the inventory.
How's our milk inventory?
Yeah, he does.
Do we need to replenish? We need to replenish our milk inventory.
Like our inventory, huh? Hey, are we getting low on those canned good there? Anyway, why did he just turn into Minnesotan? I don't know. But it reminds. I thought Matt, you were going like where people are organizing it by expiration date, which makes total sense. And I'm thinking, I mean, okay, I'm going with you here.
No, it's about
because they're
feeling.
Sentient.
Yes.
Like the movie.
I've seen Beauty and the Beast. I know dishes are sentient.
Brave Little Toaster messed us all up.
Brave Little Toaster. Yep.
It messed us up.
You know, it does make sense on a practical level too, because then you don't have dishes that just sit there forever and never get used or clean, and so it makes a little practical sense too. But I like Matt's explanation.
Oh man, whew.
Better. Sarcastic Honey Badger says, Quirk, I cannot get out of bed and then lay the same direction when I get back in. I have to lay the other direction.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
I think that means facing the other wall, not putting your head at the foot of the bed.
or maybe it does. Or you're just constantly like a face of a clock.
Or we live in a 3D world. It could mean standing on the bed instead of laying down. Like, I'm pretty sure it just means facing the other wall.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of love how we give ourselves these like little mental things that we, have to accomplish and have to do in a specific way. That wouldn't work for me though. I roll all around.
Lolly says DNA is sponsored by LaCroix, the foot flavored refreshing drink.
I don't know if it's refreshing.
It is foot flavored though.
People like it. And we keep like Justin will be like, hey, I got this new flavor, or you like this one. And I feel like I need to go back and be like, I'm updating my status. I'm not a LaCroix fan.
Aaron, but not that Aaron, says probably the closest thing I have to a quirk is that cottage cheese is only good when mixed with maple syrup.
Okay. Listen, everyone, don't knock it till you try it. First of all, we're celebrating your quirk, Aaron. You
absolutely claim that quirk.
Is there something that wouldn't be good with maple syrup is my question.
That's right. Does maple syrup make anything worse?
Cheddar
cheese?
It's a good addition.
Cheddar cheese better with maple syrup?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say cottage cheese is one of those foods I thought I hated for a long time, and then tried it again when I was older and realized it's kind of just like cheese. It's not because it looks so soupy. And it's just like, that's not cheese. That's like mayonnaise or something. Then I ate it. I was like, oh, there's a reason it's called cheese, because it's just a cheese.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Cheese.
I don't know why you get these things in your brain. I don't know why.
Hey, There's something that's called cheese, and
It looks like sour cream or
surprise,
or mayonnaise. I'm just like, that's
Cheese.
yeah.
Well, that's been fun. Let's switch over to the you topic, you guys. This is anything that goes from you. This can be a topic, can be a question, a comment, something going on in your life you want to share. Anything goes. We don't necessarily cover everything, but it would be really helpful if at the beginning you just put the letter U or even UQ for your question, so we can kind of scan through all of the chat and find them. I know I saw one earlier on.
Yeah,
Are you going
I'm scanning
back to that one?
through for it now, but go ahead and get your other questions in.
And while
you know what I didn't do that I can do before we get into this is to update on the Team DNA.
Sure.
Because we've got another shout out to give.
But it's only Tuesday.
I know. Shout out to Craig, who became a member of Team DNA. And that means one. We are one person away from the next milestone and you picking a shirt for me to wear other than this shirt
we have a lot of
week's
fun.
worth of shows.
Obviously, we're having fun. But we just did not expect you guys to be so supportive of us coming back to do a show. I mean, we love doing a show. We loved being on radio together for all those years, entertaining people every morning.
Yep.
We loved producing our podcasts for you guys regularly. This is the evolution of the kind of show that we've always wanted to do. Aaron was looking back in our archives, and we've been working towards a show like this for like 8 years. And so, but we just didn't expect that you guys would be like, let's just jump on the support bandwagon, because that wasn't part of our plan. We literally just like, we want to do a show. We want to go see our friends. We want to hang out, as often as we can in the mornings. We go live every Monday at 9 a.m. Central. And then it's Mondays and Sundays. We try to go on again at some point during the week, if not multiple times. So we didn't even know if you guys are going to be cool with that format. But here we are over a month later, and we're having such a good time with you guys. So thank you so much for your support. That's incredible.
It is incredible.
And humbling at the same time.
If you're interested in joining Team DNA, it's at Patreon. Patreon.com/StudioDNA. That's the name of the podcast network that we accidentally launched. So if you want to check that out again, it's patreon.com/StudioDNA. Okay, I found the one from earlier that I'll go ahead and put up here. It's kind of a two-parter. Sammy says, I heard the Palm Springs mini pod and have been meaning to ask you this, Dicer. And how long do you think it took Melodi's character to become a quantum physics expert? Years. This is a very specific question. And I would say, probably. I'm going to say it took her 7 years, 3 months, and 12 days. That's
it was very specific.
Yes, that's how long I think it took her to become a physics expert in that movie. Great movie, by the way. I think that's one you and Justin would like. Maybe next time we have a movie night in the future, we could do Palm Springs. That's a fun one. Steven has a you question. You topic Q. What is your favorite food that your spouse can't stand, but you enjoy?
Pot roast, yo. I love pot roast. And my mom and dad always made pot roast, you got the good roast, you got the mashed potatoes, and you got the carrots. Maybe you have a side dish of some kind, some biscuits. But my husband does not like pot roast.
It's a hard question for me. My wife's got a pretty wide palate. She likes a lot of stuff. I will say generally there's definitely a disparity in the amount that we like eating at Taco Bell. I love Taco Bell.
You would eat there every day.
I could eat it. I could eat Taco Bell for every meal. That is true.
That could have been your quirk.
And she is not a fan. Generally, her response will be again. And so it may just be more of a often kind of thing. But that's the only one I could really come up with, because she really likes. Here's the thing: I have a limited palate because of my mutant power, my super tasting. Yeah. And she has a wide palate. And so it's going to be, the other way of that question is going to be full of so many more answers, like asparagus and Brussels sprouts and all these things I cannot stand that she loves eating.
Just mustard straight from the packet.
just down in that mustard. But no, as far as the other way around, I really can't think of something that I love that she doesn't.
This question comes from Slab, who says, you question for Danae. My now teenage daughter is interested in D&D, the game. Can you recommend any podcasts or YouTube channels that would be good intro to that world? Okay. I would have a lot of questions about what she's interested in. I have not listened to every D&D podcast out there, but a lot of them that I've kind of sampled or just listened to, they're okay with cursing. So that's one thing, your child better than I do. If you want to kind of give her something that is family friendly, I would probably go with the Dungeon Run. They have a YouTube channel and they have a podcast. Jeff Kanata is the dungeon master, and he's a really, really good storyteller. But when you're doing that, the podcast and the YouTube channels are geared towards storytelling, and they have, budgets, and they've got voice actors, and they've got a lot going on. And D&D doesn't have to be that. It can be something way more simple, not nearly as complicated. And so you might have her like listen to some. There's another one that came to mind called Fate and the Fable Maidens, and that is an all-female podcast. But I haven't listened to that one enough to understand their conversational content around the game and if they're, explicit and cursing. And then there's just some that are super goofy. They're having a really, really good time. But I'll give you one more just off the top of my head. I think they do curse, but they're not crude. There's a couple that are crude. Well, they'll have like really adult style jokes. But this one's not. It's called D&D, Dungeons and Dragons and Dinner. And I really like that one as well. There's a variety of characters, and they're having a good time, and they're not crude or crass. So those are some good ones to start with. And of course, if you've got any questions or if she wants to talk to somebody about it, I will chat with your kid, because it's a lot of fun, and I would love for people to have a good time playing D&D.
Danae going with the "let me talk to your children," which is
I want to talk to the kids about Dungeons and Dragons.
Jen says, "Yes to Dungeon Run. You recommended that to me a while ago, and my kid loves it."
How is your game going? Because Jen actually started playing D&D with her kids.
Oh, nice.
And I think her son drew up her character.
Sammer says D&D, aka Danae and Dicer.
Ooh,
there you go.
Would you want to play Dungeons and Dragons with me, Aaron?
maybe
Aaron,
maybe a one-off.
You want to be my friend and play Dungeons and Dragons with me?
Maybe a one-off. I will say, Jeff Kanata, super cool dude. Actually, I've spent some time with him, and so he's pretty awesome. Go ahead.
Lolly says my husband eats Twiglets. It's Marmite flavored crispy snack from the UK. They stink.
Marmite is gross. I don't understand any of that stuff. The New Zealandese
really salty
and the Australians.
I've had Marmite before. Ugh. It's incredibly different. It's like it's very salty. I didn't think it was terrible, but people say that I heard from two different Australians. They said that Americans will take like a big slather of it and they'll put it on bread like it's butter, but you're not supposed to do that.
No,
you need way
food,
less
listen,
than that.
It makes perfect sense. Any food that you want to eat of as little of as possible must taste great. It must taste great if you're not allowed to put a bunch of it on something,
Well,
just
doesn't
a drop.
Kill
just
you,
a drop.
Makes you
it's
stronger.
So great that I only want a drop of it. That's
just
how good it is.
Sliver. Yeah.
Kennan says we heard about maple syrup earlier. By the way, maybe this is one of my quirks I should claim. I always want to say syrup.
Syrup is fine, right?
Does anybody else pronounce it syrup?
Yeah.
Anyways, we heard about maple syrup earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite food hack?
Ooh,
peanut butter. I mean, peanut butter is good on almost anything. So I really dig peanut butter. Peanut butter with most fruits works really well. One thing I've started doing recently, I like to have a snack right around 3:00 in the afternoon, and I'm trying to be very calorie conscious and kind of get out of the COVID eating dungeon that I've been in for several months now. But what I've started to do is cut up some strawberries and bananas and apples and put them at the bottom of a bowl and then sprinkle some Cheerios, some Honey Nut Cheerios on top, and then put milk in it like it's a bowl of cereal. But it's really just a little bit of cereal. It's mostly fruit, and that's been a fun little thing. So yeah, I would recommend like a mixed fruit cereal kind of bowl. That's not necessarily anything
That's like
new,
playing with your food, but no, it's kind of like you created an extra layer where the milk isn't soaking up all the stuff quickly because it's kind of like hanging out with the fruit at the bottom, which
it's
reminded me.
It's mostly making sure the bowl is full of better calories than just
the
cereal calories. But yeah.
It's not based on milk soaking up into your cereal too quickly. I don't know. I can't think of a food hack, although because Aaron was talking about milk and bowls, I remember my dad, he always will, like, if cake starts to get dry, he'll just plop it down in a bowl and add milk and just basically eat it like cereal. And there's something that I've always loved about frosting that's kind of gone a little dry, but then in a little bit of a dry cake, in a little bit of milk in a bowl, and then it just, something about eating that texture and that flavor. Oh man, I don't know why I like it so much, but it's probably my dad's fault. I did want to pop up this one from earlier from Sammer14 who says, I'm Canadian, so I don't know if this is exclusive to us, but maple syrup on pizza is the absolute best thing in the world. If you haven't tried it yet, do it.
I'm not a salty sweet guy. And so anything that like, I can't do pineapples on pizza. I can't do anything sweet on pizza.
It must be hard to be you, but you do like cottage cheese now. So.
Well, you may not know this. It's cheese. If you eat cottage cheese, it tastes like cheese.
Kenan said that cottage cheese is the other white mayonnaise. I'm back up in the top of the conversation. So
look, the things it looks like are not. It looks like mayonnaise. It looks like ranch dressing. It looks like sour cream. I don't like any of those things. It looks like curdled milk. I don't want curdled milk. Anyhow. Actually, is kind of curdled milk. That's kind of what it is. But.
It is. That's exactly what it is, Aaron. Saragdo says that I tried that. I would try that pizza with the maple syrup on, especially if it was with some spicy meat. See? Mixing flavors. But unfortunately, Aaron can't do that.
Slap says mayo instead of margarine on grilled cheese and tater tots in the waffle maker topped with fried eggs. Tater tot waffles with an egg on top sounds amazing.
I want it right now.
I'm totally digging that. PB&J pancakes, thank you. When we make pancakes, I do not put syrup on them. I spread peanut butter on one pancake, jelly on another, and I make a PB&J pancake sandwich. It is the glorious thing in my life. Using pancakes as bread is wonderful.
Here's a fun question from Volk says, is there anyone in the world that you're convinced in another universe that you would be friends?
In another universe?
I mean, like where you would be able to like hang out. And maybe they wouldn't be, or you would also be famous with them, because I'm thinking of famous people. Obviously, there's lots of famous people.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a really interesting question. I actually, there are several famous people I think I'd be really great friends with. And I actually have this happen with me sometimes where I'll get a message from somebody who listens to the podcast or something and say, I know that if we hung out, we'd be really good friends. So like, I super understand
and to that. We say, you're probably right.
Yeah.
You are probably right. Yeah.
So I guess I probably would go with like Drew Barrymore or something. We just have a really interesting personality. And I think in a different universe where we could hang out, we would actually be really cool friends. I dig her vibe. I think we would hang out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to say other people, like really influential people as well, but I don't see them as much as I do on social media. So I don't know. That's my answer for now.
I have the added benefit, thanks to just my movie review stuff, going to the awards, that kind of thing, of actually having met for a few seconds many people that I, look up to, think are awesome, that kind of thing. And you do get a vibe from some of those people. I remember when I met director Damien Chazelle, who directed Whiplash and La La Land, and most recently First Man, that we just had a brief conversation, two brief conversations actually, because he said, hey, why don't you come back next commercial break and let's talk some more, which I thought was pretty incredible. And I got that vibe like we could totally hang out. Like he wanted to keep talking about Hitchcock movies, like we wanted to keep, conversing. And so it was very different than the others, which you can kind of see them put on just like a friendly exterior. Like I know I have to shake people's hands and say hello. And with him, there was a warmth to it where like, like I kind of dig you. So I don't know. It's
weird.
Maybe he's just better at it than everybody else, which is fine. But he was definitely one I felt like in a different universe, I could go hang out with Damien Chazelle and it would be cool. So yeah.
Craig asks, "What's the most boring movie that you've ever seen?" I've got the answer. I don't know. It was so boring, I don't remember it.
It was so boring. I have
so boring. I
left
don't
it
remember.
out of my brain.
Can you think of one, Aaron?
Well, every award season, some of those screeners I have to watch are so bad. There's one or two every year that I just don't want to finish, but I do because it's my job. And often they are some of the most beloved movies of critics. And I think it's just there's an artsiness to them that doesn't connect with me. Sometimes the one that what's his name? I'm not going to remember the actor's name because I'm on the spot. But it was basically a Van Gogh movie last year during award season, and he played Vincent Van Gogh. And, critics were just loving this. I got about 20 minutes into this movie. I'm like, is anything going to happen in this movie? And I think Willem Dafoe, I think is
Yes.
who played Van Gogh.
I just looked it up.
And I love Willem Dafoe. I think he's a great actor. Shark bait, ooh-ha. Like, I love Willem Dafoe. But I did not like that movie. So that happens annually with me during award season where a movie just won't hit me in the right way, and I just want it to end. And that was
Please.
Did you look that up? Do you have the name of that movie in front of you that he was the Van Gogh
Loving
movie?
Vincent?
Yes, Loving Vincent. That was the one last year that was that way for me. So,
Ooh.
yeah.
Kenan asks, Danae, have you listened to the Bad Christian podcast yet? I have not. I keep forgetting, so thank you for reminding me. I'm gonna add it to my list right now. Aaron, do you have one popped up?
About Bad Christian Podcast or
No.
a you question?
A you question.
No, I think we're good. We just hit an hour, so.
We did? That goes so fast.
Yes, the
You
hour
guys,
goes
it
quickly
goes
because you guys are amazing. Who knows? Maybe someday the next level of Team DNA support will be to go for an hour and a half instead of an hour.
Stop it.
Actually, honestly though, it might be to lock in another for sure day. That could be a possible extension where it's like, it's certain amount of support. We know you guys care for it. You're supporting it. We'll make sure we're doing it at least Mondays and whatever, Mondays, other day, and some days kind of thing. So yeah, we could do that.
That's cool.
Although first, we've got to get that
one
more, Danae.
One more for your
shirt.
And then what we're gonna do is release essentially a poll with
for
pictures
our Team DNA members to vote on.
So you'll be able to vote on which one you want Aaron to wear for 5 episodes.
Yep, that looks likely to happen now. Just one more person. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this morning. We appreciate you so much. You can follow us on Twitter if you want to hang out.
All of it's down there.
Yeah, all of it is down there. At Aaron and Danae, at Aaron Dicer, at Danae Says. You can watch the show 9 o'clock in the morning, Mondays and some days Central Time. And if you want to be alerted of when the show goes live, just make sure you hit the little bell on YouTube or follow on Twitch
or pray,
or Twitter.
And the Spirit will tell you.
God will send a notification
little
to
angel.
Your brain. Yeah, God's been doing notifications long before social media exists. So.
I have this weird instinct that I should go to the car. Oh, look at that. I forgot the light was on.
Or even the social media network that shall not be named. Any of those places you can sign up to get alerts. And so, yes, we are excited to join with you anytime we go live. Thanks for joining us on a very rare Tuesday someday. And we will see you on the next Monday or someday.
Bye. Have a good day.